on, come on. Let this work. All right. Come on. All right. Got some people here. Ready? I see who's on here. Ooh, 13 people. Oh my gosh. Hi. For anyone who's on already, how's the sound? Can you hear me okay? You guys can hear me? I'm going to turn the sound all the way up on my phone. Yeah. We can hear you. Awesome. Perfect. Yay. Oh my gosh. Okay. We're doing this. Exactly 12 o'clock on my computer. Okay. Yay. All right. Let's get started. 12 o'clock on the dot. So hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today. My name is Alissa Palladino. I am a registered dietitian based here in Atlanta. And like many of you, I am currently based here at home in my kitchen. And this is the first in what will be a weekly live nutrition series that's part of Atlanta Track Club's new initiative, The Distance, to support members in staying healthy and active during this period of social distancing. And I am so excited to be part of that initiative because, well, one, nutrition plays such a big role in fitness and in health. And two, because the coronavirus and this shelter in place really has impacted our eating habits in a number of ways. So, we are limiting trips to the grocery store. We are having to stock up on ingredients that are a little bit longer lasting, that might be different from how we usually shop. We have less dining out options. We may be cooking for the first time or cooking more for ourselves and our families. And then, of course, there are the loss in our routines with regards to work and school that then impacts our routines when it comes to eating. So there really are some challenges, but there's also some opportunities when it comes to nutrition during coronavirus. And that's what we'll be exploring here over these videos. And then also on the new website, The Distance, there's some written content that I'll be contributing as well. So sometimes here I'll be expanding on things that I may have already written about or will be writing about. So some of the topics that I plan to address will be how to stock a healthy quarantine kitchen, what to do with those ingredients, some simple recipe demos. We'll be talking about emotional eating, snacking smart, what to do with food when you have kids at home, how to get them involved, nutrition for immunity, some food safety and usage and storage tips. And also, I plan to tailor the content based on what you guys are interested in, what you have questions about. So please chime in. And for today, I'll be monitoring the questions on the sidebar. This is my first time doing YouTube Live, but I can see people kind of chiming in on the side. So if you have questions, put them in there. I might address them as we go along. Most likely, I'll kind of leave some time at the end and circle back. And I can also provide contact information after the fact if y'all got more like individual or personalized questions that you want to ask me. Okay, so for today, I'm going to start by giving a little bit of some guidelines and a framework for how to stock your quarantine kitchen so that you have all the components you need to build nourishing, satisfying, balanced meals. Even when you may not have access to or want to purchase as much fresh and perishable ingredients as you're used to, you can still really stock a healthy kitchen utilizing more of those dried and canned goods and those frozen foods if you know what to look for. And then I'm going to do a highlight on one of my favorite pantry staples that I think probably a lot of you also like and may have in your pantry year-round. And probably especially now. And so I'll be sharing some maybe different ideas of what to do with that. All right, so let's get started. When it comes to stocking your kitchen, and honestly, this is true during quarantine and outside of quarantine as well, you want to think about variety. You want to think about not just necessarily finding recipes and specifically buying those, but really having things on hand so that you have all the tools and components you need to kind of throw together balanced meals with or without a recipe. Before you go shopping, regardless, you should actually shop in your pantry and shop in your kitchen, and try to plan meals and plan recipes that take advantage of what you already have, because that way you do reduce food waste and you can limit your spending and lots of other benefits there as well. So there's a couple different categories that I like to think about as far as that variety and that balance. So one is going to be produce. The next is going to be your grains and other complex carbs. Then you've got your protein, your healthy fats, your condiments and cooking ingredients. And then kind of the sixth category are beans and legumes. And they're just so awesome because they can count either as your protein or your carb. And they're super versatile and inexpensive and really long lasting, which makes them the perfect quarantine staples, but really something you should keep in your pantry year round. So we'll start with produce, and that's really going to be your fruits and vegetables, and that's where you're going to get your antioxidants, your dietary fiber, your vitamins and minerals. They're going to really boost the volume of your meals. So there's lots of reasons why you want to have produce in all your meals and snacks. When it comes to more quarantine-friendly versions, frozen. So frozen vegetables, frozen fruit. These guys are actually flash frozen as soon as they're picked, so they retain all the nutrients of fresh, and of course they last a lot longer. And some of your fresh produce is longer lasting naturally than others. So like an apple or an orange is going to last a lot longer than berries. So just something to think about now for what fresh produce you might want to buy. And then your dried, your dried fruit like raisins or apricots. That's great to have on hand too. Okay, so that's just kind of a couple different ideas right there. Check out, I think this was an article that's already posted on the Distance website. So kind of a full list of, in each of these categories, things that you might want to shop for. The next category, so just doing a brief overview today. The next category is your grains or complex carbs, and these are going to be like your energy-rich foods. And especially as active people, as runners and walkers, you want to be including carbohydrates in your diet, because that's the preferred fuel for your brain. If you're working at home, you still need those carbs, and definitely for getting out and exercising, you're gonna want that energy. So pasta is great. Whole wheat pasta or like a bean-based pasta is going to give you more protein and more fiber than the white variety, though there's nothing wrong with traditional pasta as well. I love oats. They actually are going to feature in the recipe. I'm going to demo later, but these guys are so versatile. And you can get the instant, you can get the old-fashioned, you can use them in so many different ways. But really, like a lot of grains are naturally shelf stable, and especially if you store them in an airtight container after you've opened them, they'll last like a long time in your pantry. For more convenience, you could even get the like pre-cooked, frozen or shelf stable like brown rice and things like that. That all you have to do is pop in the microwave. So lots of good, easy carbs you can keep on hand. Potatoes are great too. Corn, peas. And potatoes and corn and peas are kind of good examples of, well, the potatoes would be a longer lasting fresh produce to invest in now. The corn and peas would be something you might want to get in like canned or frozen form. Okay. Next category is going to be our protein. And this would be a great time to do like canned or pouch tuna or chicken. Definitely frozen meat, poultry, fish, seafood. I've got as an example here some frozen turkey meatballs, which are awesome to throw together with some pasta and tomato sauce. Also a good time to have some high quality protein powder or powdered milk on hand in your pantry. And inside and outside of quarantine, I'm a big fan of Greek yogurt. It doesn't have to be fat free. It can be whatever fat content you want. Fai is my favorite brand, but that's totally a personal preference. But this is such a good source of protein. It's such a good source of calcium. You can use it in so many different ways. So I always keep that on hand. After protein, we've got our healthy fats. Oh, and I should mention, many of you as runners probably know this already, but protein plays a really important role in building and repairing our muscles after exercise is really, really key. And it also keeps us satisfied. So building in a protein source at regular intervals, like each of our meals and snacks throughout the day, is really going to help manage hunger and really keep your energy levels steady throughout the day. So highly recommend having enough of your protein on hand and really including that each time you eat. Healthy fats. So fats are awesome because they also, like protein, keep us satisfied for longer. They are essential for absorbing some fat-soluble nutrients, so vitamins A, D, E, and K. They are needed for hormone production and all sorts of reasons. And plus, fat makes food taste good. So, right, we always are going to love our vegetables that are roasted with olive oil versus just our steamed vegetables, right? So different fat sources to keep on hand. I mentioned olive oil. You definitely want to have that for cooking. But nuts, seeds, got some pecans here, got some chia seeds, really good sources of heart-healthy unsaturated fat. So those are good things to have. Olives, and then peanut butter. All right, we'll circle back to that in a second. After our healthy fats, again, those are just some examples. Full list in the article is going to be our condiments and cooking ingredients. So once we have our stocked pantry, we don't want to just eat boring, bland meals with those foods, right? We actually want foods that are delicious and we've got different flavors and that keeps things exciting and not boring. So, make sure you have different condiments and cooking ingredients on hand. And luckily, with the exception of like dried herbs and spices, a lot of these things are quarantine friendly already. So our fresh herbs and spices, what I meant to say, those are the ones that are going to be more perishable unless you have your own garden at home, which is awesome. But otherwise, definitely have dry herbs and spices. Get a variety, they will last, a year or so. I love dill. I know some people hate it, but it's one I always have. I do have a full spice rack in one of those cabinets behind me. The everything but the bagel seasoning. This is so good. But dried like onion, dried garlic, things like that, cinnamon, just salt and pepper even. And then different kind of condiments. So like soy sauce, vinegar in different flavors. I always keep a good balsamic vinegar on hand, but like apple cider vinegar is also really good for making dressings, marinades, things like that. Mustard, ketchup. One of my personal favorites is just it's really potent, really good honey mustard that I use on sandwiches all the time and as a dip. And then you probably want to have some kind of sweetener. So honey or maple syrup or even like a sugar-free alternative like stevia. That's going to be great if you want to do any baking or even just to add to things like Greek yogurt or oatmeal. But there's a lot of ways you can use those sweeteners, including the recipe that I'm going to show later. And then finally, I mentioned beans and legumes. I have two examples here, which are black beans and chickpeas. Canned beans, like I mentioned, they are a really, really excellent source of plant-based protein and dietary fiber. So they're just nutrition powerhouses. You can count them as the carb or the protein in your meal, depending on what else you're eating. The canned version, they tend to have a lot of sodium in them because that's a preservative. So either look for the like no salt added versions or the low sodium versions, or just rinse them off before you're going to eat them, which is, a really easy thing to do. You can also get dry beans, which will last also a long time in the pantry. And if you have like an instant pot, you could actually cook those really, really quickly. You could also, soak and cook the dry beans if you have more time, but I'm all about convenience. And I think probably a lot of you are too. So that's, no shame in that. Okay. So those are the kind of building blocks of balance. And so if you have components from each of these categories, when it's time for breakfast, when it's time for lunch, when it's time for dinner, when it's time for snacks, you'll be able to think about, okay, I'll pull something from each of these categories, and I know I'm going to have a meal or a snack that's going to be, nourishing and satisfied. And I do think that probably at some point I will do a written post on like some guidelines for creating a balanced meal and some examples there. So stay tuned for that. In the next section or kind of the final section of this video today, I'm going to do a spotlight on one of my favorite pantry staples. And I think that this is going to be something that a lot of you also enjoy and probably have on hand now. and year-round too. Oh, I'm just looking at the questions real quick here. I'm seeing some good ones. And I'll make sure I leave some time at the end to address them. Okay, cool. So the food that I'm going to talk about today is peanut butter. And so probably you guys, if you have a peanut allergy, I know there's a couple of peanut butter haters out there. If you have a peanut allergy, apply everything I'm about to say to almond butter or to sunflower seed butter or to soy nut butter or something like that. But peanut butter it's just a great source of heart healthy fats. It's even got some immune supporting nutrients, vitamins E and zinc, for example, which are antioxidants. So really good thing to eat now as ever. And it lasts a long time, especially if you go with this, like the no stir kind of homogenized peanut butter. Typically, I would say from like a true health perspective, you actually want to look for the peanut butter that's natural, quote unquote, that has this oil separation, because peanut oil is naturally liquid at room temperature. So it is an unsaturated liquid plant-based fat. And so, you can see with this one, the natural one, I don't know if you can really see it, but you guys know what I'm talking about, where there's that oil separation on the top. That means there's nothing added to it to make it homogenized. So if you actually look at the ingredients here, it's just peanuts. You probably can't see, but it's just peanuts and salt. And that's all you want to see. Or you can even go with the salt-free, and then all you're going to see is peanuts. And so this will still last a long time in your pantry, but over time, once it's open, the oil might oxidize and become rancid. So usually once you open a natural peanut butter, you're going to want to store it in your fridge. Still a good thing to keep on hand. There's also your non-stir variety, which is more common actually. And the thing is, to make it so it is shelf stable, they've got to add something. So it used to be partially hydrogenated oil, which is a trans fat. That's been now banned from the food system. So now what you're going to see is palm oil or palm kernel oil on your shelf stable peanut butters. And that's not great for heart health. It's also not great for the environment. If you're someone who only eats like a couple tablespoons of peanut butter a week, I really wouldn't worry about the health risk. But if you're someone who goes through like tubs and tubs of peanut butter in a week or in a month, it might be worth in kind of going towards that natural version more often. But either way, peanut butter is delicious. And there's literally, there's nothing better than like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch or as a quick workout, pre-workout snack. It's great straight from the jar. But I do want to share with you some ideas. Yes, and I love the Kroger natural peanut butter. It's so inexpensive, and it's the best. It's delicious. That's the one I usually buy, but I happened to be at Target when I was buying stuff last time. So that's why I have these Market Pantry or Good and Gather, I guess they're calling it now. But yeah, I'm going to share some other ways to use peanut butter in case you, like me, have several more jars than usual and kind of want some new ideas. Keep things interesting. Okay, so first is, I'm loving these ideas you guys are sharing. First would be to add it to other recipes that you're already doing. So I saw somebody mentioned a smoothie, and that was actually going to be my first example. So typically we'll throw in frozen fruit, which is also very quarantine friendly. We'll throw in greens. Maybe we'll have a protein powder or something like that. If you add a spoonful of peanut butter to your smoothie, it actually makes it more balanced. So the fruit's going to give you carbs, the protein's going to give you protein, but what you really want too is that healthy fat. So throw in the peanut butter, and then you've got more of a meal or a snack that's going to keep you satisfied for longer. Same thing for oats or oatmeal. Great source of complex carbs. A lot of runners love oatmeal for breakfast or before a long run. A dollop of peanut butter would be a great way to make that stick with you a little bit longer, again, because the fat plays that role in satiety, whereas the carbs give you more quick energy. If you are looking to take your classic PB&J kind of up a notch, and also kind of boost the nutrition, so as a dietitian, of course, I want to share this with you. Instead of using jam or jelly, you can actually do fresh or frozen fruit. So doing banana slices or doing apple slices instead of the jelly, or doing what I like to call like a mashed berry and peanut butter sandwich. So when you have fresh fruit, fresh berries after quarantine, go ahead and mash those up. Blackberries, blueberries, raspberries, delicious. Right now, defrost like your frozen fruit in the fridge and kind of mash that on one side of the bread. It's going to be naturally sweet, and you're going to get all the fiber and the nutrients that you're not necessarily getting with the jelly or the jam. Although, and this would be a whole topic for another video, but the simple sugars that are in jelly and jam are actually really great before a long run. So don't be afraid of those added sugars in certain scenarios. All right. So another kind of riff, a fruit-focused riff on the sandwich would be to do like a full sandwich. So this would be like, instead of the bread, you would take an apple and get the core, like decore it, and then you're going to slice it horizontally. So you've got like apple rings. And then you're going to spread the peanut butter between two of the apple rings. And then you could add honey, you could add nuts, you could add raisins, and kind of make a little apple sandwich. This is more of a snack. It's also something that kids would love to either help eat, a very kid-friendly snack if you're looking for something like that. Okay, so talked about adding peanut butter to things, elevating your peanut butter sandwich. Also, you can use it as an ingredient, kind of mixing it into other things and just totally changing what you started with. So a lot of times we're thinking about sweet peanut butter recipes, but it can also be used in savory things like marinades and dressings. So really awesome to combine with. This is something I do a lot, actually. Combine it with soy sauce, peanut butter and soy sauce. Add some garlic, add some ginger, and then this is so good over, say you do like vegetables and brown rice and tofu or salmon and stir fry. Throw on top that kind of peanut soy dressing. It is delicious. It's great over like a cabbage or broccoli slaw, but it's great as a marinade. I mean, there's lots of ways to enjoy that. And it may be something you've had out in restaurants, maybe never something you thought to kind of make yourself using the peanut butter you already have in your pantry. So new idea there. I also really love to mix peanut butter into Greek yogurt or cottage cheese. And that actually makes a really protein-packed dip. You can also add cocoa powder, or you could add some honey or maple syrup. And then it's a dip that you can have with apple slices, with graham crackers. But it's, again, a really kid-friendly but delicious way to really just totally change up that Greek yogurt, that cottage cheese, into something delicious. And again, sort of that balance of protein and healthy fat is going to keep you satisfied for a lot longer than if you just had one or the other, or just had the dip vehicle and not the dip. The other thing you can do with that dip is actually freeze it. And then you kind of end up with like an ice cream or kind of frozen yogurt type of deal that's really delicious. Speaking of banana ice cream, if anyone has ever frozen ripe bananas, place them in the, slice them, place them in the freezer, and then use a food processor to blend them into a creamy kind of consistency. Banana ice cream, or nice cream as we sometimes call it, a non-dairy, naturally sweet frozen treat. That's delicious all on its own, but a dollop of peanut butter and maybe a little bit of cocoa powder goes a long way too and makes it even more delicious. So try that out. Vanilla or blueberry Greek yogurt. Yes. Yeah. Peanut butter and Greek yogurt. So I'm just kind of reading the comments as I'm seeing them pop up. But yeah, peanut butter and Greek yogurt is an awesome combination always. Okay. And then gonna go to the recipe in a second, but I don't even feel like I need to teach you guys this. But there is nothing better than, at least in my opinion, the combination of peanut butter and chocolate, right? So if you need like a little sweet something after meal in the evening, spoonful of peanut butter on some kind of like high quality dark chocolate or milk chocolate. Dark chocolate's going to give you your antioxidants. It's just delicious. It's satisfying. So I hope you'll do that. Probably already doing it. I haven't created that idea, but yeah, chocolate and peanut butter is delicious together. All right. Sounds like you guys agree. You all like peanut butter. I'm glad I decided to talk about it today. Okay. So one final thing I'm going to do before I try to go through these questions and see if I can answer any of them live. I'm going to demo a simple recipe, and it's for what I'm going to call today peanut butter pantry bites, or peanut butter pantry bars. And we are going to combine our peanut butter with a couple other very simple ingredients that are also quarantine friendly and that you probably have on hand. And I'm actually just going to kind of walk you through a framework for this recipe because you can totally customize it based on whatever you happen to have in your kitchen right now. Because you're probably going to want to make this today, and you may, have already done your grocery shopping for the week, and you shouldn't go, running out and doing that. So you can make this using whatever you have on hand. So I'm going to get some kind of bowl out, and I'm hoping you can sort of see me over here. Maybe I'll figure this out as we go. Okay, so we need a bowl. The first ingredient we're going to add is oats. I have old-fashioned oats here, but you can do this with instant oats. You can do this with quick cooking oats. You can do this with steel cut oats. It just depends on what texture you want your bites to be. So, oats, really good source of soluble fiber and complex carbs and iron and lots of other good stuff. All right, then we're going to add our peanut butter. And this is actually, I opened the wrong one by mistake. So this is a no-stir peanut butter. You can see it's kind of like all homogenized. It doesn't have that oil separation. And I've never used this for this recipe before because I usually buy the one with the oil separation. And when I was making this earlier, it's a little bit harder to actually stir. So maybe this would be a good use of that one with the oil separation. Then we're going to add a sweetener, a liquid sticky sweetener. I actually usually use maple syrup for this recipe, but I didn't have any, so I'm going to use honey again. You can use whatever you have. If you want a sugar-free alternative, look for maybe a liquid stevia or like even a sugar-free maple syrup that you can find in the grocery store if you want to keep this sugar-free. But you do probably want it to be a liquid sweetener, something that's sticky. And so now we've got, can you see that there? We've got our oats and our peanut butter and our honey. And then this is where you can really customize it and do whatever you want. So I would recommend doing some kind of nut and some kind of dried fruit. These are pecans, but you could use chopped almonds. You could use pistachios, peanuts, cashews. You could use a seed, like a pumpkin seed or chia seed or sunflower seed. So I'm going to put those in, chopped pecans. We are in Georgia after all. And then some kind of dried fruit. So these are raisins. I love raisins. I think, they're a natural source of sweetness and really great pre-run fuel as well. But you're just going to kind of stir all that up. And for the sake of being live on YouTube today, I actually went ahead and made a little of the dough already. So you can kind of see what it looks like there. And then once you have the dough, you're going to roll it into golf ball size bites, or you can spread it thin and cut it into bars. And so take these out. But when all is said and done, you've got these little bites, and 2 or 3 of them is a really good snack. This recipe is also, can you see it? Yeah, it's also very kid friendly. Not only that kids enjoy eating this type of thing, but as you can see, it's really easy to make. And so get them involved, get them in the kitchen. Really having kids involved in the process of preparing food is the best way to get them interested in eating healthy food and trying new healthy foods. So this is something that you should definitely let them help with. And then if you don't have raisins, use craisins, use chopped apricot, dates. You could use coconut, any kind of dried fruit you like. And then one thing I would say is this is a really energy-rich, powerful snack. It's a great alternative to like a store-bought granola bar or something like that. If you wanted to use this as like a post-run or post-workout snack, you'd probably want to add some kind of protein source. So I saw there was a question earlier on about like post-strength training nutrition. And really the key to any kind of post-workout nutrition is making sure that you, are refueling as quickly as possible. So ideally within 30 minutes to an hour finishing your workout, and making sure that you do have a good protein source. So, good question about the measurements. So in this case, with this particular recipe, I'd probably use dry milk or some kind of high quality protein powder, and then add a little bit of a liquid when you're rolling it up. I actually usually do add some water. I just kind of keep my hands wet as I'm rolling the dough into the bites. So you might just need to up the liquid content a little bit. So give that a try. question as to measurements. So that's a really good point. It depends on what quantity you want to make. Typically, I will do 1 cup of oats to then half a cup of the peanut butter, half a cup each of the mix-ins, so the nuts and the dried fruit, and then 3 or 4 tablespoons of the sweetener. But I've also done it with equal parts oats and peanut butter. So that way you get, like, it's less of an oaty and more of a peanut buttery kind of experience in your mouth. And it does shift the nutrition to either be more carbohydrate rich or more fat rich. There's no way to do this wrong. And that is kind of what I look for typically in recipes, and why I more gravitate towards these types of things versus like true baking, is that you can't mess this up. You can use whatever you have on hand. You can play around with the components. It's not going to not work if you use more peanut butter or less peanut butter, or raisins versus dried cranberries. It's all good. But that's a great question. And I know a lot of times people are used to following recipes. So we're right at 12:30 now. So in respect for all of your time, if you need to peace out, that's cool. I'm so grateful that you took a break from your workday to join me today in my kitchen. Maybe you're watching from your kitchen. That's cool. I'm going to scroll and see if there's any questions on here that would be easy to answer live. Let's see. Dietitians rock. Yes, we so do. Thank you for saying that. We are food and nutrition experts, and there is so much misleading and confusing nutrition information out there. So getting your nutrition info from a registered dietitian is always a good idea. Content on strength training recovery foods would be wonderful lean protein options specifically. Great. Yeah. So like I said, having protein-rich foods really at each of your meals and snacks when you're looking to build and maintain lean muscle is really key. And then in that post-exercise window, I could actually probably do a whole video on pre and post-exercise nutrition. I think that'd be a great topic, especially we could focus on the more kind of quarantine-friendly foods. But I think foods like that are convenient after exercise is usually important, because especially when we're kind of back to our normal lives, we don't always have access to our kitchen right after we've exercised. Now it might be different, but Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, hard-boiled eggs, string cheese, canned or pouched tuna or chicken. You could go and have a meal with chicken, with fish, with beef. You could do frozen ground turkey or turkey meatballs. You could do some sort of protein bar, protein powder if you like that. There's plenty of good options out there. Those are just some ideas that kind of come off the top of my head. String cheese, I don't know if I said that already. Yeah, those are some of my go-tos. Making a smoothie with Greek yogurt. Silken tofu actually is also really good in smoothies. All right, let's see. Less ingredients, natural. I love the Kroger natural peanut butter. Yeah, so good. Mix it with hot sauce for spicy dishes. Yeah, so that's kind of similar to what I was talking about with the soy sauce. But yeah, you definitely can use peanut butter to make more of those savory marinades and things like that. Thai peanut ginger is awesome to stir fry. Yes, it definitely is. If you don't have dinner plans for tonight, give that a try. Okay, let's see if there's any more questions here. Honey agave. Yes, you could use agave in this recipe. That would be another liquid sweetener. Somebody wants to try this with their kiddos. Yes, do it. Awesome. Okay, so I don't really see any more questions on here. Some of you already logged off, which is totally cool. Again, thank you for joining me here today. I'm hoping this is going to be a weekly thing. It might not always be Tuesdays, but it will always be lunchtime, and lots of other topics we're going to be addressing. Thanks again for tuning in today. Check out the Distance, the website, for so much great content, not just on our nutrition, but on workouts, on wellness, on mental health. The Land Track Club is doing such an amazing job supporting its members and really everyone during this period of social distancing, with staying on top of their wellness, their health, their fitness, and their physical activity. And I think all I have for today. Tomorrow morning, Amy Begley, the elite and in-training coach, is going to be doing a core session at 8 a.m. So come back, and I'll see you next week. Bye.